Before we get started, I want to make sure you have everything we need. This may look like a lot of art supplies, but we're not going to use everything that you see on my table. First, I want to show you the variety of art materials, and then we'll get back to the basics that we need for this class. We'll need watercolor paper, watercolor paints, paints can be in tubes or pen set, different brushes, 2 jars of water, paper towel, and color palette. So let's start with paper. There are a lot of different types and brands of the paper out there, and these 3 brands are my favorite. It's Fluid, Fabriano, and Arches. Comparing to Arches, Fluid and Fabriano are more affordable, and the quality of the paper is still amazing. So if you don't want to spend too much money on your art supplies, I would recommend these 2 brands. Also, when you go shop for the paper, pay attention to little labels like this one and what it says on the cover of the paper in general. I have these 2 hot press fluid watercolor pads, and when you touch the paper, it feels pretty much the same. But when you start working with watercolors, you will see the difference. The paper that is 100% cotton absorbs water much better than this one. Here I have 2 types of watercolor paper, hot press and cold press. Hot press is very smooth and it's great for illustrations where you need to add little details. And cold press is rough, it has some kind of texture. So this type of paper is great for landscapes, florals, or abstract work. When I paint, I don't use a lot of water, but when I do, I love working with watercolor blocks like this one. You can see that all the pages are kinda glued, and this glue layer protects each page from buckling. So when your artwork dries, it stays nice and flat. To separate the sheets, I use palette knife, credit card, or bone folder. And now let's talk about watercolor paints. My favorite brand is Mijello Mission Gold. These paints come in tubes and I just squeeze them on my palette when I need to refill it. And when it dries, it looks just like a pen set. If you never used watercolors before, I recommend getting a pen set. So it will be a little bit easier at the beginning. And if you love painting while you travel, this travel set by Winsor & Newton is a great option. It has a little water container, tiny brush, and little paint palettes where you can mix your paints. When it comes to brushes, over the years I've tried different brands and sizes, just like paper and paints, and I found a few favorites that I use all the time. And other brushes I use from project to project when I really need them. So while you practice, you will find your favorites as well that will be perfect for your art style. To me, the perfect brush is a brush that is versatile, the one that can make from very thin lines to thick and rich brush strokes. So these 2 brushes I really love and use them all the time. But again, it depends on your style. If you love painting abstract work, so maybe big round brush would be a better choice for you. So to start working with watercolors, we're gonna need watercolor paper, paints, brushes, 2 jars of water, and paint palette. And that's all you need for this class.